This is Living Power with Dan Hurst.
Look at what I'm going to close, and we got 5 minutes. I want you to see what Jesus, this little encounter that Jesus had with the Pharisees and Sadducees. Jesus said in verse 39, "For judgment I came into this world, that those who do not see may see, and those who see may become blind." Some of the Pharisees near him heard these things and said, What are we blind to? Boy, are you really saying that? And Jesus said, if you were blind, you wouldn't have any guilt for your blindness. In other words, they believed, remember, that if you were blind, there was something wrong with you. You were damaged goods. And he was saying, look, no, if you were blind, you wouldn't be guilty because you were blind. But he's saying, but when you say, we see, we see everything, he said, your guilt remains. You see, at verse 39, where Jesus said, "For judgment I came into this world," it seems like a contradiction of something that Jesus said when he was speaking to Nicodemus in John chapter 3, verse 17, where he said, "God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world." Well, now wait a minute. He said he didn't come to condemn the world, but now in verse 39 he says, "For judgment I came into the world." Well, what's going on here? Well, the word that Jesus used in John 9:39 for judgment is the word krima, K-R-I-M-A, and it means judgment. Or it means justice. And what he was saying was, I came that justice might be revealed. In other words, to make justice known, to clarify what is right and wrong. He said, I didn't come to, he wasn't coming to condemn, he was coming to reveal the difference between right and wrong. That's all he was doing. So he wasn't bringing condemnation, he was bringing revelation. And what Jesus was saying was that he came so that the blind who admit their helplessness and inability and trust Jesus for salvation are those who actually see. And those who can see physically but are caught in their own self-trust and their pride, and they're the ones who are actually blind. Jesus does not condemn them by making them blind. He doesn't make them blind. They're blinded by rejecting him. Emotionally blind, spiritually blind, because they've rejected Christ. And by the way, Satan contributes to that blinding. 2 Corinthians 4:4 says, in their case, the god of this world, that's Satan, in their case, the god of this world has blinded the minds of unbelievers to keep them from seeing the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. And so what happens is there are people who think that they've got it together, and this is really what Jesus was saying to the Pharisees. You guys think you have it together, and you don't. You are guilty because you're lost in your sin. Here's a guy, and he's talking about the blind man, who sees because he's realized he needed salvation. He needed to trust and believe and follow the Messiah. And so he made that choice, and now he can see spiritually, the most important way of seeing. The truth of the matter is that there are many people in the world today who think that they have it all together spiritually. There are many lost people in the world who think that they have it all together spiritually. They think they've got it all figured out. And so they've built their own little religious system, and it fits it's a convenient factor. I'm willing to believe this because this is convenient for me. This is the way I want to live my life. And so they set it up instead of letting God reveal what it is that he wants and letting him confirm it through the power of his Holy Spirit. Folks, I wouldn't believe this if God hadn't confirmed it in my life. I wasn't a believer before. I was 18, 19 years old before it became reality in my life. I wasn't about to begin believing it. I had no reason to believe it. I wasn't looking for something to believe in. But it was when God revealed that he had a purpose and a plan for my life that I began to understand that maybe there's something bigger here that I've never understood before. And I took as much as I understood and believed it. And then I realized I could trust God for the next step, and the next step, and the next step, and the next step. And as I've grown in him, I've realized I can trust him more and more and more and more. And it is a process. But it begins with what you do know, what God has revealed. That's the beginning of faith. Right where the blind man was. He just started with what he knew. And he said, Lord, I believe. And I'll trust you for the unknown. Let's pray.
On behalf of Dan Hurst and the Open Class, we want to thank you for watching. We hope it was a blessing.